Let's start with a basic description of the door and its parts and where your speaker is today. This is a replacement speaker that you can find online, but it's upside down, so let me fix that. Here's the factory original speaker, and you can see it's not 6.5 inches. It's more like 5.5 inches. The speaker itself has 2 clips on the bottom and 1 clip on the top. You slide the assembly down into the door opening on the chassis of the door, and then you clip in the top clip to secure it into place. Just a quick review, you're going to slide this assembly down into the door chassis and then push the top part in to snap the speaker into place. There are no bolts, no screws. That is how the OEM speaker looks. To get to the meat of the problem, this is a plastic tool. Don't use a screwdriver. Pry until the speaker pops free of the door, and then simply lift it out. The speaker wires will still be attached, and the way you get those speaker wires off is you squeeze the plug from both sides and then pull the plug out. At least that's how mine works. This is the head unit that's in the CRV right now. It's actually really nice. You can see here I've got driving directions on the phone and the map on the screen on the dashboard, which is wonderful. I've got 2 features that work together at the same time. I love it. I had an old CD changer in here with cassette, and this beats it hands down. I just think it's great. So just a quick review of what came out of the car. Now, we were wondering why our sound quality was just so crappy. It's because somebody got glue all over the speakers. And they're just simple, very poor quality, 1-cone speaker. This really was a very simple installation, using only 2 tools to remove the plastic door panel from the door chassis. These are the speakers that I'm going to install, and these are some of the tools that I'm going to use. Alrighty, we just finished our test drive, and I'm just going over the look of the doors here. Make sure that the bottom of the door panel is pushed all the way in. If you left any grease marks around the panels, like down there, you might want to clean them up. I have some interior cleaner. What's it called? The Right Stuff or something? It's a big yellow can. You can spray that around and get a clean rag and clean that up. This one's a little cleaner than the others because not too many people enter from this side, but just want to run your camera down and make sure that's all engaged. But what this is all about is the 6.5-inch speakers do fit, but you have to attach them to the door panel, not attach them to the chassis of the door. That's the secret. And then you have to cover them in plastic so that they're protected from the weather. That's really important. You can't expect them to be pumping out lots of bass because the way the door is assembled, there's just no way to create a chamber in there that's going to effectively work that way. So you are going to get great sound, but don't expect like incredible subwoofer sound because you're just not going to get it out of this car. Yes, you will get a premium experience out of this car, but you know, you're not going to get some teenager's boombox type car. You're just not going to get that. But hey, I'm pretty happy with it. The speakers are slightly different front to rear, but they are higher quality speakers. This car now has 8 speakers instead of 4. That is just amazing. 8 speakers instead of 4. I am so proud of myself. And you also want to listen when the door shuts. These cars have excellent quality doors. You shouldn't hear anything rattle when you shut the door. Yeah, really awesome. Did a great job. I want to thank everybody for watching me, Christopher Thunder, here from the world's dirtiest workshop, and I hope you learned something today about installing car speakers. Sometimes you got to do it backwards. When you're dealing with a 20-year-old car, you're going to get stuff that's going to fail. And you're going to get stuff that's going to be really hard to get at. Let's try to get I'm gonna have to put another pop pin in here for sure. Okay, let's get this show on the road here. Gorilla Tape is an amazing product. That roll of tape acts like a beer coaster, which is really fabulous, but I also used it to attach various parts to the door in the process of reassembly. It can also be used to hold things steady while they're being glued, but that's not what I used it for today. You're going to be removing the inner door panel from the door chassis, and there are going to be some things you're going to have to replace. Just be aware of that. One key skill here is to remove the door latch from the door rod. Doing it right means knowing where to put the pry tool. When something is fighting you, don't force it. Shake it. You have to remember to start the car, listen to it, and try all the doors in between jobs. Always try to break down these larger jobs into a bunch of smaller jobs. That felt really good, knowing that that window worked. So starting again, this part of the presentation is where I put this nasty door cover on. The back corner is the sharp part. This is the front corner and where the speaker goes. So back corner, front corner. When doing this work, the first thing you have to do is, of course, unfold the sheet. Get the corners lined up, make sure it's oriented correctly and not inside out, because you can get the left door mixed up with the right door. That can happen. So obviously the sticky side is the side that's in. You're going to stick it to where it sticks the most. Try to get it stuck long enough to apply the Gorilla Tape and then work your way around the edges. You are looking for pop pin holes and you want to make sure that you don't cover those because you're going to need to install the door panel. Take your time. That is the most important thing. Take your time. Now, a quick review of this door. That's your speaker wire. That's your door wire for your power window. These are your mount points for the door handle. The screws will go in at a 30 and a 45-degree angle. Yeah. You really got to look at that. It looks like 45, but it's not. Okay. So anyway, you're going to have to straighten this up to put the door on. Okay, so you're going to have to feed this through the top of the door over here. And then you're going to have to bang it down or tap it down onto this door. Now, before you do that, you have to make sure that that plastic cover is on. I couldn't do this presentation with a plastic cover on. So now I'm going to put that on and then use Gorilla Tape to secure it in the right place. If you touch any of that glue, get yourself some mineral spirits and a rag and wipe. Yep, it's nasty, sticky, and it goes everywhere. Here's something the previous installer did not do, and that's make a pouch for the speaker. And that's how that glue got transferred to the old speaker, which just annoyed the heck out of me. Now, these aren't state-of-the-art speakers. These are $80 speakers, $80 retail speakers. They're not Walmart brand. But when I plug these in and test them, and I got all 4 speakers going, it's more power than my wife can handle without an amplifier. She's going to go deaf. So the best thing to do is just kind of go with it. Don't put an amplifier in it. It's not worth it. I'll play it loud and she'll play it soft, and between the two of us, we'll enjoy it. So let's get this done. Okay, so this is the next step, is to make that pocket of plastic out of a drop cloth. Don't forget to put a hole in it and run your wires through. Now those wires are going to get hooked up here, and that black plug is going to go into this thing, this harness here. So the next thing to do is to get the camera as far away from this door as possible and very carefully peel off the blue glue cover so that I can put the original cover back on, which is sticky, nasty, it doesn't fit right, it's stretched, it's awful. And then I'm going to Gorilla Tape the cover wherever it doesn't fit or stick, and then I'll make it right and we'll go from there. So now they just got to sit in the sun and dry for a bit. This is the Texas sun, it'll warm those up, and that super glue will lock them in. Then I can just reinstall the door panels and hope they fit, and I think they will. Okay, I really, honest to goodness, think that these are snapped in somehow. They're popped into place. There's no other way. Well, that's encouraging. Getting glue all over this one. Wow. I don't think that they twist out of there. I really don't. Haha. That's exactly how they're put in. So there's a pin here on the top, a clip, and then you just lift them out. That is amazing. And then there's a clip here with a little opening for a pin to release the door speakers. And I gotta wipe that off with my t-shirt. Wow. Whoop. Careful. Watch your knee. Yes, folks, this stuff is extremely sticky. It sticks to everything and strings out and migrates. It is a glue that migrates. Yeah. I'll have to come back and clean that again a little bit. There's a little tiny hole right in the front here. I'm going to try and manipulate that plug with my little mini driver here and see if I can. There we go. Squeeze both sides, rock and pull. Yeah, that hole probably did something at one point, but doesn't do anything now. Now it's keyed. Does it say plus or minus on it? No, it does not. Son of a gun. So, here's your speaker, and that's how it's clipped on the bottom, and how it's clipped on the top. There is no plus or minus on it that I can see, but your speaker terminals are here and here. This is a 6.5-inch speaker, okay? And I may have to drill holes. Wow, there's a cable there. Might get in the way. But I may have to clip these wires and make extensions. And then drill or cut and install. Wow, that's going to be trouble. Or, well, this is the speaker frame. The speaker frame is this. This is the speaker. So not much use in saving the frame and trying again. This can go in the garbage. It's just awful that somebody had this door panel apart and got glue on the speaker when they put it back together. Let's just look for any other trouble here while we're at it. Any other pop pins that don't belong. Something that might have gotten stuck. Nope. Go to the other side and check. That's just going to make things harder. My wife can drive the car without the rear speakers plugged in. But, all right. That just hangs. Okay. So those are all the pop pin holes right there. That stays over the cover. We just want to make sure we don't lose the cover, or we'll have to make another one. But let's take the cover off. Peel gently. May have to pull that around that. Sometimes there's just things that you just got to do All right, I'm going to leave that intact. This keeps water from entering the passenger compartment. This stuff is sticky. Put my camera down and put it away. Okay, now that I've got the hookups on, just be real careful to feed them through. Stereo's off, so that's where they'll belong, and then work on the other door. So I'm soldering these connections in. I want to make sure that they're 100%. Turns out that one of the doors I soldered females on, and the other side of the door I soldered the males on. So you can't get them confused, but that was kind of a thoughtless effort on my part, but it works. Gluing these lower parts in is the hardest part because of how the speaker is. It would be easier to just mount them short side in, but I'd have other problems. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim them out. Like so. Take just a little bit of the edge off of there so that they go in properly. Now they fit. Okay. Take a little triangle off of them. Okay. So I'm just bringing them to a taper. Now what I want to do is very carefully, with very little bits of glue, just to glue them in. Very small, teeny tiny beads of glue. You don't want that to drip. No, you don't. There we go. Little teeny tiny beads of glue on this. Little droplets, droplet, 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 droplet. That's it. That's all you want. Got to put it on over here where I can see it. And slide it into place. Okay, those are going to be the speaker mount points. Okay, got 4 of them. And the speaker will sit on top of that, face down. It's going to be terrific. Just want to make sure that they're really down and in position. Okay, I'm going to let these sit for a while and let the glue cure. I'm not going to keep this in the sun too long. Maybe I'll throw some plastic over them, but I got to let them dry. And then I got these. So now I have to attach these to the doors. Okay, so this is the door side of those. Sometimes it's a little hard to do this when you're recording because you get all jittery and your hand doesn't do what it should do. Okay, yep. Yeah, you want it along that edge there. Okay, so you just want to lock it in there as best you can without it sticking to your fingers. Oh, no, don't lock yourself in there. Ooh, I get the pliers out. There we go. Okay, so I'll come back with some epoxy in a little bit and lock that in. Okay, that took about 2 minutes. Wow, just needed to get a better look at it. So you can see the blue pop pins there. You can see there's a yellow one that got replaced. I'm going to be looking around for damage. There's some damage right there. Okay, that was from the dealer for sure. But that's so broken, I may not be able to fix that. Oh well. Now I got to get the old speakers out and go from there. So, just replace that one, new one, new one. That's an old one, but I replaced it. You can tell which ones are new. Some of them look like they're poorly installed or about to break. That one looks like it's not installed right. Yeah, that's bad. So now I'm just going to get one of the older ones that's in better condition and replace it. There we go. Now I should be able to mount the speaker to this, either gluing it directly or otherwise, and then wiring it up. That's just amazing. And all new pins. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put this segment into the video, but I might as well show it to you. So here I'm using a high power soldering gun, not a soldering pencil, to make the connections. I'm using some waterproof connectors because it's inside the door. You'll also see here that I covered the speaker in blue tape around the terminals. So when I'm soldering to the speaker, I'm not dripping solder on the back of the cone of the speaker, which could be a real problem. Always work carefully with the understanding that there are certain things you can't undo, like spilling solder on a speaker, or accidentally melting a piece of plastic, which is part of the door. Now here I'm just using some electrical tape to insulate the connectors. And I'm going to do that up real close to the speaker. This is really basic stuff. You know, you don't want connections to short. You don't want any problems with water or food or, say, a Coca-Cola getting spilled down into the door. The last thing you want is to short out the sound system. So while I'm messing around with the other door panel, I just want to thank everybody for watching me, Christopher Thunder, from the world's dirtiest workshop and Rider of the Storm. I'm here with my tools and some wire connectors and something I fished out of my toolbox. Now, when I'm doing car stereo work or something that's worth $1,000, I want to do the best job I can, and I don't have all day to be stripping wires. This wire stripper has a little indicator to tell you what the gauge is of a wire. It's pretty close. So I'm going to guess that this is going to be about a 12 gauge wire. I have a feeling it's a 14. So if I put it in the 12 gauge hole here, 12 gauge groove, and that worked. So that's really about a 12 gauge wire. Now, when you're working with connectors, you want to cut off about 1/3 of an inch or so. I'd say 1/4, but 1/4 is a little short. 1/3 of an inch is probably better. Now, if you're going to twist the wires, and you're really going to twist them, do a whole inch and then cut off the extra. But if I'm doing some kind of a connector like this, I just want to twist it just enough to get all the wires together so that they'll fit into the opening like that. Now, I saw a wire just fray for a moment, and you can see as I pulled it back out, they were all frayed again. Just take it and twist it one more time, and then just gently wiggle it into place. It should fall into place as opposed to being pushed in with force. That tells you that that is all the way in. And you can see that there's no bare wire exposed. Now you'll get your crimpers, and this is a blue connector. Blue connectors usually fit into the blue part of the tool, okay? So this is obviously a wire fee crimper. I'm going to push that in, and then I'm going to squeeze it. I could do it with one hand, but it's much easier if I just bring in the other hand and squeeze, because I might do 100 of these. And you can see here that that connector is super tight. Now we're going to try a red one over here. And we're going to do this by putting it into the crimper first and sliding it all the way up. Then I'm going to drop the wire in, and that's going in with some resistance. Maybe because that's just a little small. Okay, so now you can see that the wire is exposed there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take it and cut it off. Sometimes I got to get it a couple times. These are really cheap cutters. Wow. Not working the way I thought. Yeah, time to get new cutters. Now that's really, 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 really bad. Really bad. I would not join that connection like that. That is really terrible. Just want to reset that, and we're going to push that in there as best we can. Really terrible. Don't do it like this. That's really awful quality. Crimp it. Now that was a really hard crimp. That just tells me that caught the wire, and that wire is crushed, and that is in there. That is a connection, okay? And you can see through this to say that the black insulation is up to the end where it's supposed to be, and the wire is properly crimped. But that was a terrible job. You just can't tell that it was a terrible job. But that's a good connection right there. That's going to work forever. So what you want to do is you want to be able to pull on your connections. And this is why I stopped soldering. I only solder the end points. I don't solder the middle connections. I would much rather do an end-to-end butt joint or a connector like this. And this is what I did for my Honda CRV. Thanks for watching me, Christopher Thunder, from the world's dirtiest workshop. Bye-bye.